Hey, friends, welcome back to the Extraordinary Self podcast. I'm so happy you are here. You could be anywhere else, but you're spending some time with me doing hopefully something, multitasking while you listen to this episode. It's going to be a quick one. If you've listened to a few of the recent episodes, I've been talking about how to prepare yourself for 2026. And one of the episodes, I invited you guys to think big and do not count out 2025 yet. Don't count yourself out. And I invited you to set a certain amount of small goals or one big one because you can do a lot in 3 months. It's incredible what I've accomplished when I've put my mind to going for it and doing it. So maybe you guys are in the middle of that. Maybe you took that challenge up or you're accomplishing maybe 12 small goals before the end of the year. I congratulate you. I hope you're excited. I hope this is energizing you for 2026. And I just want to say something. Let's be honest. I mean, for many of us, January comes with overwhelm and with burnt out, stress, energy because of what happens during the holiday and what happens during these last few months of the year. We don't take some time to get aligned, to find our center, and we come into the year overwhelmed. And I was there before and I started to shift and do certain things because I truly believe that January is not for hustling harder. I think it's for getting clear, not on what you're going to do necessarily, but how you want to feel. And we begin to make that decision now. It is November. And if you start to get this feeling right, the direction becomes clear. Now, this is backed up by science. It shows us that emotions actually come before thoughts. And I know I was a person that lived in my head, a very logical person, someone who thought about everything. I cut off my body really. And for so many years, emotions were like something to fix and something to move on from, not something to listen to guide my mind. And so I flipped the script a bit for myself in my life. And that's made all the difference. And I want to invite you to do the same for your 2026 year. How listening to your emotions and determining how you want to feel determines what you focus on. Your emotional state filters your perception of what's possible. When you try to plan your goals without emotional clarity, it's like typing in a GPS with no destination. You can move, but you'll end up somewhere that doesn't feel right. When you start with feeling, your brain begins to search for ways to create that state. So peace, joy, confidence, whatever it may be, you're not chasing the plan, you're embodying an energy. And here's the truth, you don't actually want the goal. When we set a goal, it's really the feeling you believe that goal will give you. So if it's a six-figure business, you want freedom and security, right? That's what you're searching for when you're aiming for that six-figure business. When you're on a weight loss goal or phase, you want confidence. You want to feel light in your body. You want to feel vibrant. You don't truly want a relationship necessarily. You're looking for connection and peace. So when you start with how you want to feel, you stop chasing things that look good on paper but leave you empty on the inside. You start creating from a place of emotional honesty, not external pressure. And that's where real change begins, when your outer goals finally match your inner truth. Do you know that verse in the Bible that says, without vision, people perish? And I think that's more relevant now than ever. If you don't have a vision, an emotionally anchored picture of where you're going, you drift. You get caught up in comparison, distraction, and pressure. And to be honest, I think this is why people drop their resolutions, their goals. You know, there's a statistics out there that say by the time February, maybe even the end of January, most people have dropped those intentions, those goals, whatever you call it, and are exactly where they were before, just being busy and following that emotional state where they existed in the year prior. And so if you start visualizing how you want to feel in the year ahead, What energy do you want to bring into your work, your relationship, your body, your faith? Once you begin to get clear on that, you start to attract or move towards the things that will create that feeling in your life. I've included celebration in the last few months of the year. I make sure to celebrate all my wins, not just to focus on all the losses or the failures or the things. I spend some time there too, but I also decided that I want to highlight all the great things and celebrating all these wins in my life, however small or big for the year, creates and amplifies a feeling that I want to bring into 2026 or the following year, right? So this celebration actually becomes a very important process for me because I then carry that energy into the next year. So here's how I go. I spend the month of November, December celebrating my wins, like literally smiling and being happy, and then focusing on how I want to feel. And once I'm clear on that, I choose a word for the year, something that can anchor me. For example, in 2025, my word was service. It might be something like alignment or expansion, right? Maybe that was your word this year or something that you were focusing on. And in 2026, it might be ease, impact, connection, peace. Whatever it is, the word becomes your emotional North Star. It resets and reminds me throughout the year where I want my life to be and how I want my life to feel like. And that drives all of the actions, all of the things that I am chasing and doing for fun, for development, for further enlightenment, whatever it is. So once I have that, I then spend some time reviewing what I call my dream big goals. I literally create a wall where I have all this place in a section in my home where I see it on a daily basis. I wake up to it and I see these words, I see these goals, intentions constantly. And I feel like that is very, very key because if it's tucked away, if it's written, that's alone is really powerful. But if it's tucked away, if it's not even written, forget it. Like it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. But if you place it somewhere where you can see it, so spend some time, make this a tradition, however you want. I mean, literally, I'm not an artistic person. I do printouts from my computer and I also just do a big poster board with like different color Sharpies and I write down in bubbles and whatever I feel like doing and I hang this on my wall. So no pressure there. Just figure out something that works for you. If you want something more aesthetically pleasing, if you're very creative, artsy, make this part of your process for prepping for the year to come. I don't like to walk into the year filled with like pressure and that I'm behind. So the more I can spend these weeks starting to do these small things, I feel more prepared and more at peace when January comes. And that's been my goal. I want to be centered and peaceful and rejuvenated and excited when January comes. And that won't come without preparation. That will come by making decisions now, today. What am I doing in the following weeks before January 1st hits? Right? I don't put necessarily pressure on myself to have everything figured out anymore by January 1st. I also allow the holidays to pass by, rest, family time, connection, all that's very important to me in December. I dumped, for me personally, the idea that I had to have everything clear the first couple days of January. I used to have a lot of pressure around that. Now I just say I'll walk into January, continuing with my 2025 goals and how I've been living my life all these weeks. And all this clarity will start to fall into place, let the holidays pass. And by the end of January, I definitely am clear with my vision. I'm grounded and I am emotionally aligned to the year ahead. Usually that includes a lot of excitement for what's to come. So when you give yourself time to feel and define your vision, you're training your brain to recognize opportunities that match it. It's actually called reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information. Once you decide how you want to feel, your RAS starts noticing the people, ideas, and experiences that help create that feeling. That's why emotional alignment isn't woo woo, it's neuroscience. Your emotions shape your attention, and your attention shapes your actions. If you're operating from stress, you'll keep finding reasons to be busy. But if you cultivate calm and clarity, your brain builds a life that reflects that. So as you move through this month of November and December, give yourself permission to slow down. Start with celebration, then clarity, then vision. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel? What word captures that energy? And which intentions truly align with that feeling? Start jotting it down. Start writing it down on a piece of paper in your journal, and then focus on creating that visual board, that visual location where you can see it daily, every day. And by the end of January, let your vision, not pressure, define your 2026. Because when you truly feel aligned, you don't have to force direction, it finds you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who's rethinking how they start the new year. And remember, you don't have to hit the ground running. You just have to be grounded in why you're running at all. Until next time, keep leading with how you want to feel.